Renate, where are you?
Hello. I'm here.
But I can't see you.
I don't know. I try
Yes,
to.
there
Hi,
you go.
Renate.
Okay, guys.
Sorry.
And hello, everybody. This is like so often a little bit of a chaotic beginning, but we all have to learn a lot. I mean, I want to start with a quote actually because this is so true. I don't know whether you know the name Marshall McLuhan. He is the inventor in a way from the whole press and newspapers, and he said we shape our tools in regards to communication. We shape our tools, we make newspapers, the internet, but then at a certain moment, our tools shape us. And that is so true in regards to this, because I remember when we started this pandemic, we were all a little bit like, what now? And we had only two emotions. It was either fear of desire to get out of that, but we had not much ideas. Now, a lot of people have a lot of ideas. I must say, I'm very, very, very surprised how in 1 year a whole world started to think differently. First, everybody thought would we go back to normal. Normal was as we always did it. Now nobody wants to go back to normal anymore. They want to go back. They want to go forward to something new. Um, the reason for this webinar is very simple. Actually, it's my personal information. The more the pandemic went forward, the more we were all sitting behind our computers, and the more we felt that everything looked the same. And that everything looked the same was because it was constantly a screen, and it was constantly, perhaps somebody sat before a window with the Swiss mountains. That was nice. But most of the time they were sitting in a quite a bland office, and that was not nice. So the nicest thing was that the people we missed a lot, but all the things that makes a company, like the style of the company, like its ingenuity, that was missing because everybody held a little swatch up. So we want to specifically talk about what does it mean, that whole idea of 3D and virtual reality for the fabric industry. If you are a fabric manufacturer and you do not want all that travel anymore, and fairs also become less frequent thing, what are you going to do? And I would like you, Renata, because I admire you quick, you quick and easy way to express. Can you explain to us what 3D actually is? Oh,
Sure.
introduce you first. Sorry for that, guys. I was a little bit too. We have the two gentlemen are both from ProSoft. We have here Ergin, and we
Yes.
have Selçuk. They are from a company which is extraordinarily interesting in Turkey. And then we have the charming Renata there, who is these are all leaders. These are all bosses. We don't have workers here, apart from me. We have bosses who explain how their companies are working. Renata is director at a company in Germany, which is called Visu, and they are scanning on a very specific way. But Renata, please, you are coming out of this whole design world. Renata has worked with Adidas. She as a designer went through the whole process of 3D. Explain us shortly what is 3D actually exactly.
Sure. Would you mind if I share a little image to?
No, go ahead.
Let me just see if I can do this and just share some example, because it's always easier to see something. This is what 3D is all about. Can you see my screen?
Yes, beautiful.
Yes, very good.
So, as you asked me to explain what is 3D, I tried to pull just 2, 3 slides together because it's so visual. So it's also very much, so much easier to just see something. So 3D is basically the technology to try to interpret what's happening in our real life environment. And I think we are all now so much used to all these virtual meetings and kind of to imitate the real life meetings that this even more relevant now. So thinking or talking about 3D, you always have to imagine that we try to reconstruct what is there, what we have around us, and what the computer actually does is it tries to simulate or to create a certain geometry, which is basically the 3D shape. And you bring that to life by adding lighting, like environment, which should show the second image. And then you add materials. And with these three components, like having a geometry, a surrounding, and your surface structure or surface behavior, this is basically adding technology-wise, adding up everything which we call 3D. It is a simulation. It's based on algorithms, what we think, how the environment or how a product or a material should look in real life, basically.
So, yes, you had more. You said 3 slides. I'm waiting for the other.
In terms of materials, I also want to stress what we mean when we talk about 3D material, because at the end, your computer would always work image-based. But why is there this importance to reconstruct materials in 3D in order to have a good perception is basically this idea to say, okay, if I have this material where I take a photograph and my brain perfectly, or our brains perfectly understand that this is a brown material, it seems to be very glossy and has little bumps, then with this same photograph, the computer would not really understand what it is. Yeah, and this is why in the respect of materials, you have to layer, you talk about different layers or talk about how to transport this information our brain understands or the structure into different, the information a 3D program would understand. So whenever you talk to a 3D program, it can only interpret special layers, which would be a first layer would be a color layer, so we know it's a brown fabric. This is what we transport, for example, with one image. The second is the reflectance, so we tell him it's a glossy or a dull material, and the surface orientation, likewise, and another image could be also the transparency of a fabric. So just to understand that basically your 3D program is adding now the geometry we were talking about, putting the color on top, the surface structure on top, and the reflectance on top. And this is how this from this decomposed layer, it's recomposing basically this impression. And this is basically what the 3D material, when you talk about the 3D material, basically this is what it is.
So we actually are step forward from Photoshop, where we also talk in layers always, this is the step forward. Ergin, do you have something to add to Renate's explanation?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Renate. Of course, this is not easy, but everybody was saying before pandemic, I have to touch the fabric, I have to feel the fabric. But now with the pandemic situation, unfortunately, what is going on, everybody understood that it's not necessary, because we can give these components with this intelligence to the fabrics. And we realized, and we made also with university some tests, that the real fabric is with the digital twin around 97% real. So we can reach that. Also, we are giving movements to the fabrics. We will show later on how we can touch even virtual fabrics in a virtual showroom. So you are like in reality. We don't need to travel. We don't need to touch the fabric. We can also feel with these components the fabrics. I can, of course, show you later some examples about that. But Viso is also the leader of this digitalization, and we are working also together with Viso, with the components. Of course, this is the future. We have to learn it.
Yes, I remember that a lot of the people who presented their collections, they were getting more and more used to it, but the more they got used to it, the more they got also a little bit frustrated, because there was not really an interaction going on. There was that we talked, but there was no interaction, and although the word engineering is always used in, certainly in our world of lingerie, for placed performance, we're now seeing that actually we see that people understand that they have to start to re-engineer the way they come over as a company. So they have to completely reinvent also the way they think about it, and that is a very, very big leap for everybody. Where we started the pandemic only talking about sustainability, and sustainability is a point that comes later, is also a point of this, because we are talking more and more about saving cost, saving materials, especially saving simple materials, because we cannot afford it, but nature cannot afford it either. And so there are all kinds of different aspects that are coming in. And my question now to each of you: how can you help those people who are sitting there? What can you offer them? What can you say? Okay, if you now see our company, so I think I have to ask you each to do a little presentation of your company here.
Renate, please, ladies first.
Okay, thank you so much. Just take I'm sharing my screen again. Just this one. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to explain a little bit about what we are doing. So WISU was founded in 2013 in Germany. I'm, as already well explained by Jos, I am heading up the company together with Martin Semsch, who was actually with WISU from the first day, as he's one of the founders of the company. We can say that we definitely developed ourselves from a startup to a leading provider for material digitization technology to date. And we have offices in Germany and the US, but we also work together with a distribution partner network all over the globe. Because, of course, the fashion industry is very global, and this is when we're serving exactly this area, we have to be global as well. I must say that the first years, the automotive industry kind of brought us to where we were back then. But I must say, from 2018 onwards, the fashion industry was basically like the biggest revenue stream came from the fashion industry. So we now not only talk to automotive clients or fashion clients or brands, we also work closely together with apparel and footwear manufacturers and also fabric mills. At the end, the fabric mill is our target customer. And I think with the pandemic, this conversation became much, much more easier than in the past, because as you cannot ship every little sample so easily anymore, and you cannot meet up for your fabric fair so easily anymore, or actually not at all at the moment, this hurdle to enter this digitization is much easier, or it's really facilitated compared to then. So
you please tell me what you do exactly.
Yes, we are providing hard and software for material digitization. So we are scanning materials, or we offer technology to scan materials and to bring them basically into a digital format as close to reality as possible, basically, and as fast as possible. So it should be a mass production of digital fabric, basically, what we want to enable. I have some slides for our product as well after this introduction. Talking about our client base, as I said, we were talking to a lot of brands, no matter if it was the sporting goods industry, the luxury industry, fast fashion industry, or also lingerie industry. Now, what happened is basically that this right-hand side, basically these clients coming from all over the place, from the supply chain, talking about manufacturers and fabric mills. This is really what is picking up actually right now. Yeah, and this is where it's getting very exciting, because you're basically closing the loop more or less. And I have the little supporting slide for that, between manufacturers and brands when we talk about digitization. So I think we will also talk about these use cases later on, but just to give a little bit of context why you would eventually want to digitize your material is, from a supplier perspective, if I start here on the top right position, to create color variants, discuss color variants with your clients on the fly, to review your prints. Of course, your print looks completely different on a mesh or on a nano broderie or on a leather or on a single jersey. So this is something you could test upfront before creating virtual samples. And through the pandemic, of course, online shops, digital fabrics fairs, and these kind of things got much more important. And then handing over a digital fabric, sharing a digital fabric with your brand, actually then generates a very interesting ROI between on both sides. Because at the end, you want your brand to use this data for their 3D design and their prototyping, and immediately review and judge on the look and feel of this very material. And as more and more brands are moving towards 3D, I think also the supplier side has to have an answer for that, even without thinking about the pandemic, that when I'm working in 3D, I want more true to life materials, and where do I get them from?
Yeah, that's
and then as a final note, like talking about our products basically, so most of our clients they get the hardware and software from us to run everything themselves. So it's literally imagine it like a normal scanner, yeah, where it's basically a box with a camera which can create different lighting conditions, and a software which operates the scanner and helps you to process the textures for like this ideal output for 3D application, basically. If you don't do it yourself, we do it for you as a service. And related to this topic, of course, we can also help with implementation support, like training, consulting, and kind of related in this related area.
Thank you, Renate. In between, a remark from a very important company in Hong Kong, Clover, which is well known in our industry. They also want to promote 3D to the whole industry, because they say it works the best, and especially the cost sparing, the cost saving element works the best when everybody gets in it, because it is hardly effective when it's only a couple of people. The advantage is that basically all the young people, so what is coming now towards us, also Generation Z, they are super interested in it, because for them it is already from gaming to a tool what they use is a very easy transformation, and so they are very enthusiastic. And what else do we want in our world than enthusiastic workers? Ergin, you have tell us what your role is in this new world.
More presentation about what we are doing. We are trying to make from A to Z everything what is in digitalization in fashion business.
Sunumu açıyorum Ergin.
That means from virtual yarns to virtual fabrics to virtual showroom, and even we have a
Ergin, dondun sanırım.
Yes, now I had a problem with if there's something share steering. So ProSoft is making the digitalization in every step. That means we are focusing since 25 years, we are in the textile business. We know textile, we know the business, and we are trying since more than 25 years to give solutions. And especially since 6 years, we are focusing us to 3D, like Renate explained, the possibilities, what we can do. And since more than 4 years, even to the VR technology, what is now for us the top of the top, that means virtual reality, because on the screen you can see everything 2D. You cannot understand the deepness of the styles. But with VR technology, you can see everything in 360, even inside the details of the styles. So what we are saving? Yes, we can save on money-wise, financial-wise, time-wise. But for us, the most important thing is we are saving the world, because sustainable-wise, we can save water, we can save carbon dioxide, we can save energy. With this amazing technology, we are making now, since 2 years, definitely 80% digital sampling. Only 20% we are doing physical samples.
Are you talking about your own company,
Yes. Yes, as example.
That's also a textile company.
Yes, I'm also owner of a textile garment company. We are doing ready wear on Jersey base. And in my company, we are doing that, as you said, 80% digital and 20% physical. And it was not easy 3 years ago to provide that to the customer, because nobody wanted to understand. Before pandemic situation, nobody wanted, they said, send me the real sample. But I was always saying, I don't want to destroy the world. We have to understand how much sampling we are doing. In the world, everybody's sampling. I was sending 90 samples, and from that, 86 wasn't selected. We were happy with 5 selected samples because we got orders. I said, no, we have to stop this mentality. We have to find other solutions. So we started 6 years ago with 3D. And we were in Turkey, the first company who started with 3D solutions. Now we are in that level that we can create digital fabrics. Like Renate explained, it's also possible to scan fabrics and make layers on it. But we are doing even now, this is for us the new solution, from a yarn, virtual yarn factory, we are doing virtual fabrics. Everything is digital. So you can show it easier, you can change easier, and you are not destroying the world. Like here explained, we are saving yearly 4,800 kilogram carbon dioxide, 2,400 tons even water, 12,000 euro energy, and 24,000 meter fabric we are saving. And with the same success, the production is not going less, it's going even more. This is like an example of 80% saving, what we are doing now with our customers. Geçebiliriz.
Is that Renate, is that also your experience with your clients?
It's muted now, yes.
Sorry, I was muted.
Are your clients talking about the same experience with your technology?
Selçuk bekle.
Of course, I cannot confirm like every number in an average, but I hear a lot of feedback that the biggest, like what is here also shown as cost saved, is at the end also that we hear a lot that there is so much time saved, right? And when you save all your like prototypes and your time at the end, it's not only the prototype cost, but it's this tremendous chance to kind of get decisions done within days instead of weeks or even months, yeah. So this is definitely what we hear a lot, that suddenly these iterations are so much quicker. I don't have to wait for 3 weeks if I want to request a different color variation, or if I want to try my fabric on a shirt, because I can just instantaneously do that and immediately have at least a certain view if it's rather something I want to have or I don't want to have. So especially selection process, Ergedin was also talking about, is definitely facilitated, because I can really quickly review. Let's say even if you talk about the same 100 fabrics or styles you want to select, right? You can also choose them virtually and then select maybe 5 of these virtual fabrics. It's still the same selection process, but it's just online, and it's easier, of course, to replicate a digital sample and send it around than package every one and send it around to hundreds of clients. Yeah. So it's definitely most and foremost, I think, the time which is saved, and of course, as a consequence, then the cost for the samples. We hear that a lot. Yeah.
Ergin, tell me now, does that work also for a small company? Because I saw on your list also from Renata, I saw giant companies, especially fast fashion is very much in this already. They are using that. For them, it's a tool. What's very, 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 very important. The fabric industry in lingerie we are talking about in general is not. That has had, yeah, some of them are very big, especially in China, but the most of the people are not to that format. For a medium company, is that also an important way to save costs, to be more effective, to have your time available to do other things?
Of course, we are not looking to small, medium, or bigger. Everybody can do that, and everybody has to learn this method, because we know all together with this COVID-19 problem, the future will be like that. Nobody will travel so easy after everything is okay again. Everybody has to learn that this kind of things will be like hybrid methods, both sides. So we are believing on that, and we are giving also in Turkey already lessons about 3D, about digitalization. The biggest problem is, Renata will also confirm, there are not enough people, digital designers. The method of change, design is changing. The new students, they have to learn digital-wise, because for me, this is the absolute, new way, and it doesn't matter, small company or bigger, everybody can do that, because everything is smooth and easy. It's not complicated. If you learn it after 3 months, everybody can do that. Everything is automatized, like Renata's Viso, everything is easy to handle. It's not a big problem, I think. So yes, there was an example we were doing before, let's say 50 models in 25 days. But now the 50 same models we can show digital in 5 days. It's an amazing win. Also, money-wise, time-wise, and environment-wise.
What is SmartX?
SmartX is our version. We will give a small feedback what we are doing. SmartX 360 is the new solution in 3D, because the biggest problem in the world is one supplier has, let's say, Klo, the name. It's very famous. We are using also Klo, South Korean company, but the customer has Broswear, another solution. They cannot communicate. That's the biggest problem. They can communicate with each other. But with SmartX 360, we found a solution that even if you don't have any 3D solution as customer, we can show everything on web-based. On a web link, very easy. This is SmartX 360. We can make different styles. We can let them move. We can zoom into details. We can have a video chat here even. We are now selling our customers 80% like that. Now Selçuk is here on the screen. He will come. Selçuk is on SmartX live on video. We can make notes on the styles. We can take screenshots. This is the easiest and fastest way. Because
no, again, we promised our audience that we want to talk about fabrics. Yes. We know about Klo and Browseware, but what about fabrics?
We can show you also examples about fabrics, what we are doing. We have also solutions for fabric supplier. Like this example, you have fabrics, but some of customers, they want to see how the fabric is matched on a shirt, on a polo, on styles. And there are different fabrics in the solution, like here, and you can change very fast the color. You can move the fabric like in real like how is the movement in real? Is it heavy fabric, light fabric? And you can definitely very fast change the fabric. So this is our fabric solution for SmartRix 360.
I still want to bring you to my very disappointed fabric client who needs to hold up a fabric in front of the screen, and the client said, meh, because he does that in most fabric manufacturers have not every color already sampled. So the color plays a role. What is the solution then? Can he, because you taught me also the interactivity with your clients. They say, I want a different color in that fabric, or I want to change a yarn. I know, and I dare to mention the name. I have seen also embroidery manufacturers who are using that technology, because there's always changing of color going on.
This is also an example, Jos. This is a digital showroom from our customer. We know together this big customer. They are really amazing. And here you can see how we can change the fabrics, the designs very fast. Selçuk, bir de belki bir kumaş showroom olabilir.
Now I have a little surprise for you.
Yes. Ah, the same fabric. Look.
Now normally it goes like that.
Yes. But here you can here you can see how it's matched on the avatar, how you can see. And of course, for us, the best solution is a digital showroom, because you can see how is it in real. Now,
yeah, but then you almost, with fabric, you know, most fabrics have a problem with their clients. Fabric
yes.
people have a problem with their clients. They do not want the fabric person to sit on their chair. They want to see the fabric and they want to change the fabric, but they do not want immediately all the garments, because they want to do that themselves. So that is also a really interesting idea, but it's impressive what you do, especially with the showroom. I mean, God, fantastic.
Yes, it is showrooms, Jos. You can have a normal VR glass. It's really cheap to get it. And with this glass, everybody, we could have these glasses, and we could make this meeting in this VR showroom. This is now very easy what we are doing for some of our clients. And you can enter, touch the fabric, change the color variation, and you will feel the fabrics really like in real. Of course, there's not a touching possibility, but the movement you will feel. Here we are creating different showrooms.
But yes. This was probably a pretty hefty and expensive total package. Suppose now somebody says, I want to start. Is there a starting? Is there a starting
yes,
fee?
yeah.
Can they say, Renata, can they say, okay, I start with a scanner, and now you're going to teach me how I go further, and then I run to Elgin and Silkwood, and then if I master that completely, I want them to help me to create my image. Because a showroom is an image, like a stand on a fair is an image. Is part of your image, but most people, especially now, they will not go immediately for a whole package, but they want to get away from that problem that is sitting here with a piece of fabric, and say, do you like that? Now I have no idea, because it looks quite big, that flower on the screen. How is that in proportion?
So then indeed, everybody's screens are also different. Renata is seeing a different.
Yes, so there you get a better idea indeed already of the proportion of the print. That is for sure. That is different. How are you doing that, Renata? Because I think this is people would like to have it tomorrow, because it's also a lot of solutions. but how do you get to that? Give an estimate in time. I'm a lace manufacturer, and I say I'm really fed up with this because but now next time when we are still not having the possibility to travel and to open the suitcase and take all those samples out, because that is the reality, but make an easier life and sit in front of my client. But that has happened to me very often, that I say, man, that lace is, that fabric, I don't like that sample you have, and especially I don't like the color. How does that work? Can you recolor easily each fabric sample together?
Yeah, so your question is quite complex. I try to recap if I understood correctly. So first it was about how easy you can get into this overall process, right, of digitization, yes. Like if you can get there in 2 days or if you need 20 years for it. I think to answer this first maybe is that I think I've shown a little bit the possible use cases. Of course, it's enormous what you can do with 3D, but you also need to see, okay, you cannot just transform your whole company, even the thinking of the whole industry in 2 days, right? But what you definitely can do is to identify, first of all, and this is what we recommend to all of our clients, is to say, figure out a process step or something which is really painful for you, no matter if it's maybe creating color variants or creating, sending samples around the globe, or what is your pain in the process, and try to use the technology first for this one. Then talking, for example, to get to your second question, to talk about recoloring, for example, if you say, okay, I'm creating a color like a fabric, no matter if it's a leather or a fabric or embroidery in a certain calibration, and my key customer can choose about how this embroidery or how this print or how this yarn dye should look like, then there are very easy functionalities where you can just recolor these fabrics on the fly in discussion with your client. Not saying that you never ever need a physical sample anymore, but you could easily iterate through 5 or 10 or even 20 color variations and then say, oh, so let's get a sample of these two, instead of sending 20 examples, because at the end it always gets it gets endless, what is requested and what can be ordered in this pre-sale process.
I have a question from one of our participants, and that is very close to what you said, Ergin. How do you deal with the fact that every display is different setup color-wise? So that's the calibration of the different computers, etc. How do you deal with that?
I think there are two scenarios. First, you have to get the color right internally in your organization, which is definitely not easy, but more achievable because you can control the hardware to a certain extent. Talking about going outside and selling via a screen, maybe a color company tells you something different. I personally think that it's actually impossible to control the color or also the perception of color. It's not only your screen, it's also how people perceive the color, right? And what they see and what they even can't see. This is definitely a learning process, how we deal with this topic. Not saying that there is not technology to limit it or to mitigate this issue to a certain extent, but it is definitely something we have to be all aware of. And this is why I'm also personally someone who does not say I need to take every sample away and there is zero sampling in the future and I'm just ordering my bulk based on something I've seen on the screen. That's not the case. But there are so many opportunities in this selection process.
Do you agree with that, Ergin? So, the possibilities in color calibration. I must say that at the end, you probably still have to have your sample, but that's different than 20 samples or 50 samples. That is the thing. What is sure. I mean, I remember going back and forth to a supplier, and at the end of the day, I still have an example, and I keep it because it's almost. I'm sure that at the moment that if this process is going to develop that fast, that I can come up like a sort of proof of how this antiquated future was, past was, by showing all the color samples we had developed for one embroidery, and it was amazing. That was small changes, big changes, it was enormous. And how is that? How is that? Because you are thinking about what is the level of communication from your point of view? Who is it? Is it the designer? Is it the owner of the company? Is it the whole setup? To whom are you talking? Because one of the biggest problems in color and in changing things are between marketing and designers. With whom are you talking in your process? Who comes to you and says, I want this process. I want you to help me to set it up so that I can also enter the world of 3D or virtual reality?
First of all, this is a process from, of course, in my opinion, first the designer. The designer has to accept this, but you are right, also the buyer or the owner, they have to accept also this method. But we are always saying the same. We don't want to make everything digital. Only the pre-selection, the whole cost, we can reduce with the pre-selection. And finally, of course, we will make the real sample later on. But the first process is mostly, as you said, too much sampling. For one order, companies are making 30, 40 samples only to get the one order. And with this idea, you cannot make 30, 40 real samples, but you can give 100, 150 digital samples. And then they can pre-select maybe 10. And from this 10, you can make the real samples. So it's reducing time-wise, also cost-wise. So everybody has to understand these methods. It's not far away. You have to start step by step. Like you said, maybe with the system of Viso, first the fabric scanning, and then the second step is making maybe garments if you need garments, or then creating a showroom is the later one, is the third step. The fourth step is even making a virtual shop where you can buy directly your goods. So
that sounds fantastic.
Yes, it has to go step by step. You cannot make everything. My company learned this in 6 years. Now we are in 6 years in that level. It's not coming from today to tomorrow. Of course not. We created with Selçuk even a virtual shopping center where all brands are in, where you can look around, where you can even buy. But the internet connection worldwide is not fast enough. This is our biggest problem. But this is the future of it.
I have another question that is also coming from one of my contacts who are trying to enthuse us very bored buyers, because after you have done seen 10 collections in the classic way or with a storyboard, you get tired. Suppose now I want to surround me. Like we can do, we can change our background on the screen, and around me is my little showroom. I have my virtual showroom, and I change my fabrics and my things around me. And when I have my client meeting, I'm sitting there in my showroom. How is that possible quickly, or is that already a very advanced idea? Because what we see is on what Zoom offers, what even Skype offers, you can even have your own background. So I can imagine that I want a background which is my showroom.
It's not far. It's really a process of 2 months. If you want a real showroom, like your showroom, we can make a twin of your showroom. yours, and in 2 months you can put all garments in your showroom with Visoscant like that. We are creating now, why you are saying, showing that Ipeker, our same friend.
Almost like an e-paper show.
Ipeker, we started this project.
Yeah.
We started with them this project. But we said also the same. First, digitalize your fabrics first. Then find young people who are interested, because it's a process. It's not for one day. It's a process. What is going on for new fabrics? But I can tell you, we are creating showrooms, different worlds, because I believe that we are not selling designs. We are selling lifestyles. And so if we are creating a showroom, we can create it in a forest, on snow, or on a mountain, on a sea, up to the styles, up to the themes, what you want to sell. And the good thing is we can enter all together in that showrooms live, and we can communicate inside. I hate also to communicate like that, because I want to communicate like in real. We can sit there on a couch. We can have a nice weather, sunshine, hot weather or snow. We can change everything. It's in our hand. And
but it's virtual, not real.
It's
So I want to put you on the shoulder.
No, believe me, in 10 minutes you will forget if it's real or fake. Believe me, we had that. But the good thing is we are making the system so easy. Like if you change your designs, it is automatically changed also in the showroom. You don't need to make.
So I don't have to hang everything again.
Yeah, no, you don't need. You have folders in your computer. If you change it in your folder on your computer, it's also automatically in the showroom, the new design, the new fabric. So it's really easy. You have to start only. This first start, it's not easy. But if you start, if you are in the world, everything will be easier.
Okay, easy. I like easy. But I also like challenge. For me, it sounds like a big challenge, not necessarily like easy. But we are up to it. I think people want to start rebuilding actually the future. Renata, is it true that all those young people who are now starting, even in my own company, they say, "Oh, yeah." At first they said, the very good ones, like my guys, they said, "Oh God, we don't need 3D. We can do exactly the same with our Photoshop, because we are very good. We know how to do that, etc." But then they got already some examples, and they said, "No, we need that." Is it so that if you start to work with 3D, that you automatically need all your swatches, all your fabrics scanned on a very, very professional way, 3D in layers?
I think when you start digitizing materials, ideally you do it in a way that no matter if you use it today in your first design to show your first design intent, or maybe if it's only in 2 years on your e-commerce in your online shop, it's still already in the quality that you can use it throughout your process, even if your process does not start immediately from A to Z, like Ergedin also mentioned. Yeah. You were saying something like the designer would say that they can still do the same thing in Photoshop. I would not even argue too much against that, because at the end, it's true. I still think that the designer knows what they want to design. Yeah, they know what they imagine and they bring it on paper. The only question is, can we interpret what is transported through this design? And actually, this is at the end creating these endless iterations is because somebody else, either in your company, in marketing, your key account, a buyer, or somebody or very far away on the other side of the globe tries to interpret what you wanted to say with your sketch, with your Photoshop, with your Illustrator file. And this is where the trouble starts. I don't think that the trouble necessarily starts at the designer's desk, because there everything is pretty clear. So if you only think about the designer's job and the moment to hand over the design, I personally am not sure if this is really where the issue starts. Yeah, it only starts with the next step, and then the designer is. It depends on a company is almost out of the process. Yeah, so somebody else is taking the trouble, so to say. And this is, I think, what we also need to think more about. Should we more think end to end and in a process, or should we just think about our own step, which I can easily complete by a hand sketch? Yeah.
Yeah, that is certainly what I also already discovered in a very artisanal type of industry like lingerie, where everything is pinned on a buste and then beautiful, the lace is draped over it, and they want to protect that, and they see that whole technology especially as a danger, sort of. We are now like the dinosaurs who are dying out. And I already heard from some designers who are very good in who work with clothes, that the better you are as a designer, and that a very deep and knowledgeable design background is very important to start working with 3D, because otherwise it's not really a help. The element of the whole process, the whole link with other industry, especially since a lot of companies are actually only design and marketing companies, and the whole production is outsourced. That is especially where Angie Lau from Clover says, yes, it's fantastic that we are that far, but without the whole supply chain being in there, it's not helping us that much, cost-wise and also sustainable wise. I would like to because I know, again, you have a limited time. I would like people who would like to ask a question. You made time. It's very interesting to keep you here, but I understand that you have another appointment. If there are any questions from the public, just ask them, because we are learning from your question. The question about color was an important question. That is obviously a very important one. We have that as well. What will be the future for people like who sell massive amount of colors, like Pantone? You still work all with Pantone?
Yes, on my side.
Still the most important dialogue.
Pantone, but also Colora is coming really strong, what we are using now. But the good thing, we can put all colors in our systems. And believe me, it's 97% if you calibrate your screen. This is important, 97% like the real one. I never had problem with colors. So this is also possible. But Colora is working on digital wise also really strong. Okay. But Pantone is still important, of course, to speak.
We have always big difficulties with color, because lingerie colors happen to be very precise and fragile, and there's little nuances, and so we are still making for the fair as well. The colors, they're made by a colorist with real pigments. To allow people like you, probably you scan colors probably, huh, with a color scanner.
Just scanning and calibrating, of course.
Yeah, so to allow that, to allow colors to be pure and easily to scan, but it is a problem. The color is one of it's something tricky, but not the most tricky. What is the most tricky part of this whole development? What is where you say now? But where it goes wrong, that is the big risk. Is it in our head? Is it in what you use?
I think the biggest problem is not to meet face to face. We miss this, to hug people, to be close to people. We are missing this. The whole problem with the traveling is much more important, because I was traveling because before the pandemic situation more than 100 times in a year, not only to sell garments or fabrics, to see each other, to feel, to have a nice conversation. I don't believe on this kind of conversation, it's not like in real. This I'm feeling.
Why is that?
Because to meet in real, it's something different. You can understand better. You can communicate much better than online. Everyone is in different cities. Okay, it's possible to match other, but for me, I still miss real traveling and real meetings.
So now I asked you both, give me an estimate. What do you think in 2 years? Where are we? How many people are we then already completely, because production in a big part in the fabric industry is digital. I mean, everybody works with the most fantastic, certainly in my industry, with the most fantastic Jacquardtronic machines from Karl Mayer, or those beautiful embroidery machines from Switzerland. I mean, incredible, and they're all digital. They're all very, very complicated, and they already ask special people to handle them. But this is for a big part also communication related.
Absolutely, yeah.
What do you think is happening? Is the growth now during the pandemic enormous for both of you?
I would say so, yeah. So we see a lot of brands moving to 3D at the moment, like also 3D sampling or 3D design and whatever is related. And to your question, what we would see in 2 years, I think as the brands are requesting, they need the content somehow for their 3D samples or for their 3D styles, right? So I think even if we go back to physical fairs and Premiere Vision and these kind of events where we all are looking forward to do this again, I think it will be definitely more common or more like normal to, when you do your fabric selection at this fair, that you also request your fabric supplier and say, hey, and by the way, also send me the 3D data because I want to start designing tomorrow and not wait for 3 weeks to get your sample. I think to have this digital copy or digital twin, how it's often named, basically is getting, I think that will be definitely normal, that this enhancement of the physical world by this data, I think that's normal that we request that in 2 years, yeah.
That's
and
very
to say my key supplier is also providing me with the data, because otherwise my 3D process does not work. And we need to get that work, not only because of sustainability, also in terms of risk management, as we now understood what can happen from one day to the other. Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. That's a very, very, very important point. I would like you to ask you at the end, what would you like to add? Because I'm trying to understand it a little bit. If I were a manufacturer, I would, and I had money, what beginning budget do I have to think about? You, Renate, easy first.
That really depends.
Small company.
Sure, but it depends. There are clients who have I don't know, 5 key fabrics, and they're just testing their prints, and you're ready to go with a few hundred or a few $1,000 basically. There are clients who say, okay, I want to have an scanning station in my 5 locations, and then it's maybe $100K total solution. Yeah, so it really very much depends on the scale, how you want to start. However, I would still encourage everyone to say, even if I just want to invest a few €1,000 to just reach out to someone, say, okay, I'm interested in fabric, so I need to get that digitized, to work out a package where at least you can do a proof of concept and then learn what you can save through in your process. Because if you manage to solve an issue, then your return of investment is there anyways very shortly. Yeah. If you invest on the wrong thing, every €100 is expensive, right? So.
Oh yeah, say that to a woman who buys a dress. We women are especially bad at that.
The one you never wear, you mean?
So what would you say, Ergin? What would be for the beginners cost investment?
We have different solutions, like also Renate mentioned. We have also solutions for students, because they don't have this power of of course, money, but we have really cheap solutions for them. But normal companies, small companies can even start with us, let's say with 3,000 euro. And the whole solution is, I think, not more than 40,000. You can make from A to Z everything in digital with our solutions. Okay, we have partners like Viso, we have partners like Klo or Browseware, but altogether it's really, for me, not more than 60,000 euro, everything, but they don't do things to start with everything. Like I said, step by step. And if they start, like Renat said, they will invest, they will see how they can find much more easier customers, much more, everything will be easier, and they will be in front of the customers, and they will definitely win this money back shortly.
That is extremely interesting. I think that a lot of people want to also be sure that they are when they start, that they have the accompaniment of your company. Is that something as a after sales service? Are you there? Because a lot of time, and I hear that especially from production industry machines, etc., that they're buying it, and the thing arrives, and there's a guy with it perhaps for 2 weeks, and then it's gone, and then after that they're standing there, and there are a lot of beginning problems. But that's the case with everything. How is that working? You are training like Klo and Browseware. You have a university. How is it working?
The good thing for us is that it's pretty easy to use. So this is actually one of our, I think, the why we have a good reputation, I think, is because we are also super easy to use. So we normally don't even sell any training with our tools, because it's pretty straightforward. If you know how to use Photoshop, you will also be able to use our systems, and with a little support from our team, you're ready to go. So our major goal anyway is to keep it as simple as possible, because we really are heading for mass production and like have a speedy process to get your digital copy of your fabric. So in this case, we are it's quite easy to get started. Yeah.
Easy, but we are still always live, and we are always saying we are like a digital consulting partner of these companies, and we have examples where we are since 2 years partner with them. We are never saying we are selling and we are out. No, we are giving always the support, because it's also our mission to bring 3D and the solutions to the whole world, because it will be much more easier. So we are believing, and we are giving also lessons on the universities, that students will be ready and will start like that. So we are believing on lessons, seminars, and giving support, of course, especially to the young people.
There was also a question that's my last question, and we have to stop this, and that is really, I enjoy this a lot, because you see the world and the possibilities going open, and the world it's not only become more doable to think about globalization, but also it is more somehow more in your own hands. It's more controllable, and that was for a lot of people a very big problem. It was almost like this world was in one big pancake, and you didn't know what was happening. The question that I wanted to ask: does it need a special type of intelligence to be able? But because I heard from some designers that will never work for me, because I'm a typical right hand brainer. And so I don't know, that these are the remarks I'm getting. So I need to have the materials in my hand, and all that technology that is not for me. What would you say,
Renate? Or
I think that's with every job or with every task you're doing, right? You have to have some kind of I personally always think you have to be a little bit emotional, at least, about the things you're doing. And there are a lot of tech-savvy people out there in the world, and there are a lot of creative people out there in the world. And I must not say that now all the creatives have to get techies and vice versa. That would not work, yeah. But I also believe that in a company you have a good enough diverse group to say, okay, if we work together, we will sort that out. And I think for nowadays, also at universities, I also think that even if you have a very creative formation, you still have tools you will or need to learn in order to communicate your creativity. And maybe yesterday it was more Photoshop and Illustrator, and today it's more 3D. So at one point you need to have tools in order to do your work, yeah. And I think the other guys maybe are more into, I want to learn every little trick from the software, and the others are more, okay, I just use it in order to complete or to transport my ideas. And I think this is, I don't see that being differently than if you would now use Illustrator, yeah. At one point, you need to align on a common format or a common file type of communication. Yeah, I would just see the different.
I can add to Renate that, okay, 3D garment stitching and understanding, you need also to have this praxis. You have to, like in real stitching, like in real fabric making, how it's going on. If you understand this, the way on the computer is, believe me, much more easier than in real. But they have to learn also in praxis. I had designers in my company, they didn't know how to stitch the garment in real, because they always know what I said. No, you have to practice, you have to understand how you can put these materials together. So it's like the same. If they know that, computer is much more easier than the real one, believe me. So there is no hard way. They should believe, and the companies from the top, they should believe and give the employers this opportunity. This is the biggest problem, I think, in the industry. The company owners, because they are mostly older, this generation, they don't believe, and they don't give the possibility to the employers. That's also a big problem in the market.
Thank you very much. It's very exciting. I think we have to make that a weekly, actually, to talk about the whole thing with examples. It is certainly inventivity has becoming a big leap now in our world. I must say I understand that a lot of people are incredibly depressed with this whole situation. I find this to my big surprise, actually, the longer it lasts, the more people are ready to change their mindsets. And I would like to remind everything that the mindset is not something you're born with. You can change it. So you can change it also towards a digital world. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much.
Listeners, if you want any information about our panelists, just let us know. We have their addresses and their company profiles. So please let us know. Thank you very much all. This was very, very pleasant. Thank you.
Stay healthy, everybody.
Okay.
Yes, and stay safe. Sure. Yes. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Thanks so much.
Goodbye.